A little bit of a pre-show here. So imagine that. And we might have a special guest coming in, and if the guest does come in, we'll let you know. And in the meantime, I want to thank the folks from Timeless Razors for this super close shave that I got. And I used the Vikings blades this time, and it worked out great. Just 2 passes. And I'm extremely pleased with the Timeless razor. Very well made, nice and solid, lifetime unit. I like things that you buy once and just keep. And I especially like them if they're made in these United States of America. And I'm dressed in my Indiana Jones / safari type outfit because we're going to be talking about the Rolex Explorer, the 39mm unit. And I thought it was appropriate that I dress like an explorer. What do you think? And since I don't have a real Rolex Explorer, I'm wearing my GS Diver, Titanium Diver Stunner, SBGA 231. And on deck, I've got, there's the side view of the Grand Seiko 18 karat gold stunner, which we might talk about that a little bit later too, if my special guest comes in. And there is the dial shot of that ivory, what they call ivory dial. It's absolutely stunning. And because of the lighting, the markers and all look kind of black, but they're really more gold with some black. It's just because of the lighting. So you can take a look at the pictures if you want and my other videos and so forth that show that off a little bit better. And let me get in the chat here just to make sure that I can keep an eye on any comments. Let me see here. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so we got Blue Shirt Buddha in the house. We got Barry in the house. Nate's in the house. Andrew's in the house. Nice hat. Well, thank you. This is an original that came from Banana Republic back in the day when it was just a husband and wife based out of San Francisco. And this one is rabbit felt. So this one dates from about 1978 or so, was when I got that puppy from them. You look like Indiana Jones. This is the same coat that they used in the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. This was made by Peter Botwright for me. Shortly after the movie came out, I contacted him and told him I really liked the jacket, and he said, you know, what are your measurements? What size do you wear? And so on. I told him, and he made one for me. And then not too long after that, maybe a couple years later or whatever, he added it to a website. Of course, you know, the web wasn't out, you know, in like 1982 or whenever it was I had this coat made. But some years later, he went ahead and started offering to make jackets for anybody. So that was pretty cool. He's a really good guy. Unfortunately, he's passed away. Hello, Craig. I will hit the link soon. There you go. Okay. Blue is going to come in the house, it looks like, and I'll keep an eye out for him so I can put my headset on so I'll be able to hear him. And did some wet shaving today. She shaver, I guess that's pronounced. Okay. Eucalyptus and Astra Blades. I have Astra Blades also, Brian. I really like them. The Wacka Troll Gang is in the house. We got our Wags in the house. I shave with a switchblade. There you go, Nate. Nate's bad to the bone. Let's see here. I should try to shave with my Chris Reeves Sebenza sometime. See how well that works out. Probably won't. Wearing my Explorer 214270 Mark I. There you go. So that means it's the one, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the one with the white gold 3, 6, and 9 instead of the loomed. So let me know, Blue Shirt Buddha, if I'm right on that. It is the perfect everyday watch. There you go. Wearing my Explorer 214570 while watching. Great show. Jimmy is in the house. I hit the link, Craig. Just waiting to come on, I think. Okay, we'll see what happens on all that. I'm sitting here monitoring. If I see you come in, we'll deal with that situation. Hi, all. Love the jacket. Well, thank you. Yeah, the leather in this thing is just fantastic. For as old as it is, it's really held up great. I've worn it a fair amount. I wore it on my travels in Russia and all over the place. So it's been a good one. Perfect watch for one and done collection. There you go. My latest purchase, Mark II. So that means it's got the loomed 369, correct? Oyster Perpetual 11 6000 with 369 blue dial. Could be Explorer alternative in 36 mil. We're going to talk about all this stuff. This is good stuff. Correct. Nate has chest hair on his eyeballs. He's bad, yeah. Well, he's got to get some tattoos on his eyeballs. That's what people are doing now. They're getting their eyeballs tattooed. That's pretty bad. More ways than one. Wearing my Explorer 2. There you go. Polar. The real Craig Shipper Frederick is in the house. I'm going on safari. There you go. I've honestly been on the fence between a white dial Oyster Perpetual 39 and Explorer 39. They're both great pieces. Okay, so this is what caused me to bring this up, this discussion. And, well, you all know what it looks like. I don't need to show a picture of the 39 mil. Obviously, there was some discussion with Paul Pluto on his show, Archie Luxury, about he was wearing the watch, and there's been some discussions recently about that watch. And so I went ahead and did some additional research. I watched some of the JustBlueFish Guy, a couple of his videos. I watched his full review, and I put the link in the description to both those videos if you guys haven't seen them. I watched his full review, and then I watched the review where he said why he sold it. And that was kind of interesting. Some of the points he made were kind of interesting to me. So at first blush, I thought it seemed like the perfect everyday, do anything Rolex, because some people say it's 11 millimeters thick. Some say it's 12. So I don't know what the real number is. Maybe you all can let me know in the chat what the real number is. In any event, it's pretty thin because it doesn't have that date wheel in there, right? There's no date, and there's no Faraday cage like the Milgauss, right? So it can be thin, sort of like an Oyster Perpetual, without the date. So let's see, that's correct. Ship, Nate says, got the Harrison Ford look going on. There we go. Hello, checking in from Nashville. There we go. That's Durr in the house. He's got a wrench. Let's see here. Lost my cell phone and had to buy a new one. Uh-oh. I hope if you had a Bitcoin wallet, you had your private keys backed up. If you want to steal Stunner Rolex, I think Oyster Perpetual, Datejust, and Explorer are all great one-watch Rolexes. There you go. I've seen both 11.2 millimeters and 12 millimeters. Blue Sheep Buddha. Yeah, I know. Why can't we get this information correct? Also, I tried to research what the size of the dial is. You know, everybody talks about the case size. They talk about the lug length. They talk about the space between the lugs. They talk about all these things, but it's kind of hard to find information on the actual size of the dial, which seems like to me that's pretty important information because that's your reading area where you're reading the time, is on the actual dial itself. I published on my website some information about the size of the dial on a Datejust 36, the size of the dial on a sub, and comparing it to like the size of the dial on this watch and the size of the dial on my gold Stunner. You'd be surprised, that 35 mil gold Stunner, the dial is actually a little bit bigger than a 36 millimeter Datejust, because you can see the bezel is not quite as wide on this watch. So the bezel plays into that a lot. So for example, I've read that the dial on the 39 mil Explorer is actually larger than the dial on a sub that's a 40 mil watch, because again, it's got that rotating bezel, right? It's taking up a fair amount of space. But I couldn't find the exact numbers. I know the numbers on the sub, but I couldn't find the numbers on the dial of the Explorer. So if anybody can measure that precisely, I'd like to add that to my numbers so that we know what the heck we're talking about here. The crystal protrudes a little. Okay, Nate. Yeah, but when you measure the height of the watch, you know, what I call the width of the watch or whatever you want to call it, you got to measure the crystal too. That's all part of the measurement because it all has to go under your shirt cuff. I brought the black sub and the Explorer, okay, to the bachelor party. He brought 2 watches. Jeez, that's hardcore. The Explorer is a great watch, but you think the polished bezels are scratch magnets. Well, yeah, here's the thing. In Guy's videos, especially the one where he talked about the things he didn't like about it and why he sold it, he talked about it scratches so easily. You know, when a watch is high polished like that, has so many high polished areas, any little scratch is absolutely going to show up. So if it's something that bothers you, that's going to be an issue. Me, I don't mind if the watch gets a patina all over it, a whole bunch of scratches and all that, and it just becomes like a patina, and it's just fine. I mean, this watch even has some scratches on it. It doesn't have many, but it has a few scratches here and there. But I mean, it still looks stunning, okay? The bracelet has almost no scratches on it. The clasp is scratched like crazy because it's stainless steel. The part that's titanium, it's a super hard titanium grade 5 alloy that Grand Seiko uses. It's holding up real well. Very few scratches on that. But there are a couple of scratches on some of the high polished parts on the case. But another thing that he commented about, Guy, is kind of like the sharp edges on the watch, where I guess at the end of the lugs here, like here, it's kind of like hard on his skin and in the bracelet as well. Like when it's humid and his wrist swells up a little bit and all, and it's kind of like cutting into his skin. And he said that was one of the main reasons why he sold it is he could never get the bracelet to fit just right, and it just kind of irritated him. And this one is just amazingly comfortable. I mean, everything that's touching my wrist is smooth and rounded, and so it's kind of interesting to hear these things and take them in under consideration, right? I mean, I was like all gung-ho. I was like, wow, this seems like the perfect watch, right? And I still think the case on it is much more attractive than a sub. I mean, I wouldn't even buy the sub maxi case. I mean, I'd just totally pass on that. I still think between those two, I would go for the Explorer, but that's not what Guy did. Guy sold the Explorer, and correct me if I'm wrong, he has the Submariner now. I know he had one. I think he still has it, and he's always said he loves the Submariner. So I don't get that. Okay, it looks like Blue is trying to come in. Let me get my headset on and see if he is getting in the house here. I'll see if I can get some audio. Let me get my headset on. Do we have a guest in the house? Can you hear me? I've got no audio. So if Blue is in the house, I'm getting no audio and I'm getting no picture. So you're going to have to go into your settings in the Hangout there and just make sure you've got your audio selected and make sure that you've got the picture selected so that'll work. So in the meantime, I'll take one of these earbuds out. See if he's able to get in here. Let's see here. I'd honestly go for a Datejust. I just measured it, Jimmy says. Okay, so Jimmy, you measured it, and what number did you get? Reiterate that, please. I'd honestly go for a Datejust with a fluted bezel and Jubilee bracelet if I was worried about scratching and smooth. Absolutely. Absolutely, Brian. That's going to hold up really well. The fluted bezels hold up great. Just because of the way they're designed, they don't scratch. Just like the President bracelet on the Date 8, because everything's curved, it doesn't get all scratched up. It looks great. And it gets like a patina, like I said. When you have big flat surfaces that are high polished, that's where the problem comes in. If they're faceted or they're curved, it's not as big an issue. I don't think it matters having a smooth bezel as long as you look after the watch. Well, yeah, but some people, I mean, especially a heavy use watch, if you're buying an Explorer, the idea is you're going to be using it for some heavy duty use, so it's going to get scratched. Yeah, he bought the Submariner. I will give it a try. First time using a Hangout. Yeah, he was Blue was trying to come in, and he's having some issues, but we'll see if he's able to get his settings worked out for his audio. And you got to select your audio and your camera and make sure all that's turned on, and then you can try to come in. You can keep trying. That's fine. I remember Guy saying in his Oyster Petrol 36 review that he loved the way the watch wore, and he wanted to get one to pair with his Sub. Yeah, I think he has a smaller wrist, and so I think the 39 would probably be too big for him. And you know, a lot of people, I've seen the 39 Explorer on wrist shots, and a lot of people, it looks pretty big on wrist. I think if you've got a wrist smaller than a 7 1/4 or so, it might be too much watch. Might be better off going with the 36. A Day-Date is much better looking watch than the Datejust. Well, yeah. The Day-Date is fantastic. Let's see. Never did before. I will try to get my laptop camera working. My cell phone doesn't seem to let me get onto live stream. Yeah, you got to use a real computer. It's better to use a real computer, absolutely. Anyone know what happened to the Archie live stream from last night? I put in my watch later queue and now it's gone. Who knows? I mean, you know, YouTube might have taken it down. YouTube is starting to crack down on nasty stuff. So you're probably going to see a lot of nasty stuff go away. And you might see some of these nasty trolls get thrown out completely if they keep acting up. Guy has just under 7-inch wrist, I think. Yeah, see, that could have been the issue there. I think the 36, but it's interesting that the Sub he likes. It's a bigger watch. It's got a similar bracelet. It's not, I mean, it has that adjustment in the bracelet that probably helps him with that fitting issue. Let's see. Explorer looks just about perfect on my 7.5-inch wrist. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, good size wrist. That's going to be fantastic. And it's comfortable. Let us know in the chat. It's comfortable. What's your thought on the Day-Date Oyster Quartz? I don't like the integral bracelet. Wearing a $20 Casio and glad I have it. There you go. I'm not a troll. I'm an enhancer. Mousy Blue Prestige. Oh, please ban the trolls. Good evening. Even though I own a couple of 18-karat gold Rolex watches, Day-Date and Oyster Perpetual, I like most the Rolex watches. I like most of the Rolex watches and would be happy to own any of them. I hope that doesn't make me odd. Well, no. I mean, Rolex makes a lot of great watches. It's just, this is a perfect example on this 39 Explorer. At first blush, like I said, I thought, hey, this is the perfect watch. And then I watched Guy's videos, and he started pointing out some issues. Now, he's very picky, but that's good. That's good to be very picky. It's an expensive watch. But some of the points he made are pretty valid. For example, he talked about the crown, when he unscrewed the crown, and how once he unscrewed it, it kind of wiggles. And one thing about the crowns on these GS watches, they are rock freaking solid. When you unscrew them, there's no wiggle at all. I mean, they feel rock solid. And when you screw them down, they're like, you know, it's like a freaking bank vault, right? It really has a cool feeling. And when you screw it down, it has a funny feeling where you can tell it's like screwing something down inside as well as on these threads. It really gives you a robust feeling. And what he was demonstrating on the crown on the Explorer was not quite so robust, and plus significantly smaller crown than like the crown on this. Now, of course, this is a dive watch, so you'd probably have to compare the sub to this, right? But I think even if you compared the sub to this crown, this thing is just like rock freaking solid. Talk about over freaking built. I love my GMT, but the bracelet does let it down a little bit. Which GMT do you have? Which bracelet? Do you have the Jubilee? You have the Pepsi? That's pretty cool. I own a 38 millimeter white dial Seiko. Looks like Blue isn't going to make it in. I'm going to take this out of my ear. It's irritating because I'm hearing myself and all that. And we're going to talk about the we'll talk about the gold GS. Oh, he's trying to come in again. As soon as I said that, he's trying to come in. So let's see. Let's see if he gets in here. Whoops. How come I don't know which of these is which? Does it matter? I don't know if it matters. Hello, can you hear me, Blue? Blue? Oh, I think I heard you. Say something.
Oh, you heard me. Hello.
Yeah, I hear a little bit of audio now.
Oh, that's good.
I don't see any video, though.
There's no video.
You don't go into your settings, and you should be able to select the camera. Is there a camera in the laptop?
Well, I had to resort to my phone this time around because the laptop, the camera on the laptop wasn't popping up as a.
So you're on the phone? You actually got in with the phone?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you should be able to select the camera in the settings.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, see what you can do. Play around with it. I'll keep on the comments.
Okay, sounds good, Craig.
Brian says, I own a 38 millimeter white dial Seiko SARB 035 and love the way it wears on my wrist. I find it much more comfortable to use every day than my 43 millimeter Seiko SKX diver. Let's see here. The crown on my 214270 is rock solid. So, maybe his was... Oh, there we go. Now we've got a picture.
I can see you.
We got a picture. Okay, let's introduce everybody. Blue is in the house, and he's coming in with his phone, so he's holding his phone there. Do you have somewhere like you can prop it so that you don't have to sit there and hold it the whole time?
Well, that's okay. Yeah. I got my resting on my desk here, so it's okay.
So Blue and I have been talking about the gold stunner, and I'll cut to that real quick. And you can't see it, Blue, but I'm showing it to them. I'm showing them the dial and everything, and then there's a side view of it. So we've been talking about the gold stunner, and so Blue, give us the background. Why did you decide that you were considering a watch like that? What was your thought process?
Well, my thought process was for the price, you can't beat a gold watch. And a lot of GS 9F watches out there with the stainless steel.
Yes.
That's about $2,200, I think, retail. And if you want something,
you mean new?
You might. Yeah, brand new.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you want a watch that's going to be a stunner, you might as well get the gold. And I think this is a really good option.
Now, do you wear dress shirts very often, or?
Yes, and I wear this this gold Omega here quite a bit. You can see that. Yeah,
which you sent me the picture of it. Yeah. The GS I think would be a big step up from that one, definitely.
It is a step up.
Just the lug design and a lot of things going on with it. The GS Stunner really looks a lot like a Calatrava. It really does. It's got that shape and that... I was looking for a long time for a gold dress watch, and I was looking at some of the Calatravas. Of course, you could step up a lot in price, right? And
Yeah,
the
and
reason I bought this one is I thought, well, it would be nice to have something that's dead accurate and that I can leave off my wrist for several days and then put it on and not even have to worry about it, not have to set it, not have to do anything, and I know it's just going to be like dead accurate. So that's why I went that route instead of a mechanical watch. What were your thought processes on that?
yeah, the mechanical watch is special just because of all the craftsmanship and all the work that's gone into it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of reason people appreciate these kind of watches,
Mm-hmm.
these vintage watches. But the 9F movement is also another marvel of watchmaking, and
Yeah,
I think it's so simple. You set it, and yours particularly has no date, so you don't have to worry about when the month doesn't go to 31, you don't have to reset the watch, and
absolutely.
that's the point. And that's the point of the 9F. You could just sit it, and it's dead accurate. And you don't have to worry about it.
And it's a
And
much cleaner look without the date. That's why I like the Explorer that we were talking about, the Rolex Explorer. Same reason. I think it's a much cleaner look on that dial to not have that date protruding in on it.
Oh, much better. And so the reason I reached out to you, I did see it on eBay, and there's a lot of risk in eBay. I guess it's not so bad. They do a lot of things to prevent fraud and all that. But since you're in the States and I know what condition the watch is in, and I know you, I figured it'd be easier just to reach out to you and try to get it.
And
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 go to
we
Japan,
yeah, and we
you know.
discussed on the show the other day about whether or not I should sell the watch or not, and a lot of the folks were saying no, you shouldn't sell it. What's going on here? Show. He's sharing links. Let me see what. Oops. Sorry about that. Something just. Let's see what link this is. Jeez. He's trying to share some links. Let me see here. This guy calls himself the real CraigShipp of Frederick. He's trolling. He's showing some links of some cheerleaders at an event that I took, and he thinks that that's funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hide him from the channel. I think that, yeah, we'll go just hide him. So let's see. Yeah, he's just trolling. So let's see what else we got here. I'm just going to go through the comments real quick. Craig, which GS dive are you wearing? This is the titanium unit, Mark. This is the spring drive SBGA 231, I believe, is the model. So it's the titanium spring drive. I think list is 7,100 on it. Let me see here. The crown on my Explorer. Okay, we already extremely solid. Also got issues with the timekeeping of the watch. Mine is very consistently +1 second. Yeah, those vary. Sometimes you're going to get one that's more accurate than others. It's kind of the luck of the draw on that. Let's see here. I own the Rolex Explorer in 39 mil, and I think it really looks good. I like the size over the 36 millimeter. Yeah, that probably depends on the size of your wrist. Yeah, I think if you've got a 7¼ inch wrist or bigger, then probably the 39, but not smaller than that. I don't know, like 7-inch or smaller, I think you're probably better off with the 36. 9F is always great to have in a sport watch or a watch that you wear irregularly. Well, see, I look at that differently. I look at it as a great movement for a dress watch, not necessarily a sport watch, because I don't like the idea of, for example, on my diver's watch, I'm glad it's a spring drive because I don't have to open the case. If I had to open the case every 3 years to put a battery in it, I'd be a little bit nervous about the waterproofing. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I'd be thinking about that, right? Whereas with a dress watch, I'm not going to swim with the gold dress watch. It doesn't even have a screw down crown, right? So I'm not going to swim with it anyway. So I don't. That's a non-issue. So for me, the 9F is better for a dress watch just because that allows it to be very thin. That one's only 10 millimeters thick. So you get all those benefits and you get the accuracy, and by definition, for me, a dress watch is a watch I'm not wearing every day. So I like to be able to set it down for 3 days, pick it up, put it on my wrist, and just know it's going to be dead accurate. So I went to see a Calatrava, 11,000 used, not all that impressed. The movement is small for its case, and it's an old movement. Okay. R-Wag says, sell him the watch. He's a good guy. You can get another one.
I agree. That's a good comment, Craig.
That's from R-Wags. Do you guys know each other?
No.
Okay.
See, you posted on the channel.
Okay. And Thomas says, old Omegas from the 50s can still run perfectly well these days. Check out what Roger Smith says on the latest Bark and Jack video. There you go.
It runs. I did have it serviced though, so we had to get it serviced, and it runs great.
Okay. Do you have any bites on it? Do you have anybody that's interested in buying it?
I'm not going to sell the Omega. That's actually an heirloom from my father.
Oh, okay.
But I have another one that you might not have heard of. It's a Vulcan Cricket. This is an old one right here. I'll put it up to the camera if you guys can see it.
Yeah, it's not real high quality, the picture, but maybe they can get a general idea.
Yeah, general idea. Nice little old alarm watch, and that's another thing that's great about this mechanical watch is they were able to create a plate inside the movement that there's two different barrels in the movement. One, if you wind it up, it will wind the alarm, and if you wind it down, it winds the movement. So it's really neat how they invented that, and there's a little metal plate that vibrates really fast, and it sounds like a cricket. Maybe I could wind it up for you guys, but I'll give it a try here. And the Omega, somebody asked where I got the Omega service. I had sent it to my watchmate, a watch jeweler here locally. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. They're called Alson Jewelers. That's where I gave it to them, and they had it serviced. So.
And Mark says, agreed, I have a 9F and can't believe how much I love it and use it for all sorts, setting my mechanicals, etc. He uses it for his like reference time. Yeah.
That's a perfect idea for it. It's the reference. It's like the atomic clock, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Roger Smith was the protege of George Daniels, the inventor of the coaxial escapement that Omega uses. R-Wags just put a user you blocked in a timeout. Why would he have to if I blocked him? Oh, well. Let's see here. Blue Shirt Buddha, nice. I've got a lovely Seamaster from the 1950s. Let's see. Have you seen Bark and Jack videos worth watching? I guess he has a recent one about Omegas. Is that the idea?
Yeah. Sounds like he must.
Yeah.
I think he has one, a vintage piece that he showed, I remember. I don't think he was going to have it serviced because, you know, those old watches, it's hard to replace parts because they don't fit with the old worn pieces. They kind of work together as time goes on.
Yeah. Are you on Facebook?
I think. Yes.
Can you put in a friend request to me on Facebook?
Yeah, I'll find you on there and I'll send one over to you.
Yeah, I'm holding a camera. I think CraigShipp. You'll find me easily because we probably have some mutual friends, and I've got about 4,500 friends or something. So it shouldn't be hard to find me.
Sure.
Let's see. Hi, Craig. Why are you promoting Rolex again? Have you been corrupted by Steve and Clive? Well, Steve is not a Rolex dealer, so he would rather me not talk about the Rolex. No, I'm talking about topics that come up in the community and questions that come up and so forth. And they were talking about this particular Explorer. There's been a lot of discussion about it because Archie got one, and then there were other people on some of the forums discussing them. So I just thought it would be a fun discussion. And then especially when I started doing the research and I watched some of the videos by JustBlueFish, Guy, and some of the questions he brought up, I just thought it would be an interesting discussion to have. So can anybody that has one, some of you all in the chat said you have them, can you measure what the dial is, what the diameter of the dial is? I'd like to know, because I'd like to put it on my, I've got a little section on my page at the bottom of my page about the Grand Seikos and all, where I've put some of the dial sizes of some of the watches so that people can have that for reference. Because it's hard to find. I thought I would Google it and I would find like somebody who put all the dial sizes for the different watches. And it's not so easy to find that information. I would think that would be relevant information. Because after all, that's what, you know, when you're looking at your watch, right? You're looking at the dial. And one thing I like about the dress watch is even though it's 35 millimeter, the dial has a nice, good sized dial. The dial is about the same size as a 36 mil Datejust, actually a hair bigger. So it's very legible. And with my 61-year-old eyes, it's good to have something that is legible. And it looks just freaking gorgeous. So that's, you know, when you're looking at it, it's nice that it looks nice. So, yeah, one thing that I worry about buying it on eBay, and I worried about it when I bought this one, was are they going to send me the one that's in all the pictures? You know, is it going to be the same watch? Right? That was my biggest worry. My biggest worry wasn't were they going to send me the watch at all. My biggest worry was it going to be the watch featured? You know?
Right. That's some other, you know, they used one for the pictures and they send you something else, and
that's not quite as overseas. Yeah, that's not quite as nice, you know. And then what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do when it's an overseas purchase? You know, it's kind of difficult. And I've had, you know, on eBay as a seller, I've sold them, and a couple times I've had what you call a chargeback. And so it's something for people to know. If you're, you know, people in the watch community buy things online, I think it's good to tell them that if you're also selling, you need to save your receipt, your mailing receipt, for at least a year, because at some point somebody could charge the fee right back to you, and if you don't actually have the original receipt, you could lose your money that way.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me 2 times, and I've had to proven that I mailed it with the original receipt.
Yeah, what I do, if it's anything expensive, what I do is I shoot a video of me putting it in the box and taping it up and everything. And then I take like a marker and I put some like marks on it, you know, and then I take it to the post office and I do a video of me handing it with all those marks to the guy at the post office. And I'm in a little town, so he doesn't mind me doing that, right? So it shows kind of that it was the same package with the same marks on it and everything. So at least it's some evidence that, you know, I put the thing in the box and that I mailed it. But I haven't had a problem, knock on wood. I mean, I haven't had anybody charge anything back or challenge anything, and I've sold a fair number of items on eBay, you know, over the years. So
eBay is very good, generally very good, but you know, you just got to be aware of these things, just in case. It's always good to be prepared, you know.
Let's see here, but the only discussion here is Rolex is a bubble, watches are not investments, buy Bitcoin, and if you disagree, you're banned. Also, some suits, shoes, push-ups, and lots of GS pictures. Yeah, well, that kind of summarizes it. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing, Adaptive Calman, right, made that comment. I mean, what surprises me is, how many YouTube channels do you think there are, Blue? How many?
There's not many with watches.
No, I mean, how many total? Millions? What do you think?
There's thousands of
At least thousands, right?
Those are the channels, yeah.
Probably
Why
millions.
did they?
I'm going to go with there are millions of YouTube accounts, YouTube channels out there, right? I'm going to go with millions.
Right.
So why doesn't he pick another one? I mean, if they, these guys don't like my channel, I mean, I'm pretty upfront about what my channel's about, right?
That's right.
If they don't like my channel, why don't they? That's the alarm. Cool.
That's the.
Yeah, if they don't like my channel, why don't they go to another channel? I mean, that's the funny thing about all this.
That's what Archie Luxuries. That's what Archie Luxuries for. You could do
Yeah,
that over on his.
what
channel.
I'm trying to do, yeah, this is more of a lifestyle channel. This is more of a where we talk about things, people that are making forward motion, people that are making things happen, and that are maybe buying a luxury item, but they want to research it. They don't want to make a mistake, you know. These are the kinds of things that we deal with on this channel. And clothing, you know, if somebody has a nice watch, that's just part of the deal, folks. I mean, that you're presenting yourself to the public and whoever you're doing business with or whatever, or you're out on safari or whatever you're doing, right? You want to have the right gear and you want to be dressed properly and all that. It's not just the watch. The watch is not going to get you all the way to the finish line here, folks. There are other things. So we're trying to be a little more broad on this channel. And some people don't like that. That's fine. There are other channels.
Your channel discusses the whole picture, you know, clothing and everything else, and not just watches and all that, but there's a lot more there. And I think, you know, if you don't want to hear it or you want to say something negative, you don't have to watch the channel. You could tune out, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, it's a good-looking watch. However, GS should be slow, smooth sweep, in my opinion. Well, you know, you got the spring drive if you want that, but the problem with the spring drive is it's a pretty thick watch. There aren't really any of them that I think are appropriate for dress purposes. They're too thick. For a sport watch,
yeah.
absolutely. See, this is the problem, and this is why we have so many discussions on this channel, is there is really no perfect watch. It doesn't exist. Every watch has some issues. Even a day date, right? I would rather the day date be 10 mils thick. It's about 12, 12 and a half, depending on the model that you get, right? They vary. That's a little bit thick for a dress watch. It will work, and I wore them for 40 years, right? So you know, I'm speaking from experience here. It will work, but it would be much nicer if it was about 2 mils thinner. Then it would be the perfect freaking dress all-around sport watch. You could wear it for anything. But a 12 mil watch is a little bit thick for dress purposes. So there is no perfect watch out there, folks. The day date comes pretty freaking close. But I just gave you one reason why it's not really perfect. Somebody said agreed. I don't know what they agreed about. Who is so quietly chiming in there? Blue is in the house. He's the guest.
You must be referring to me. I was the guy that is interested in Craig's gold stunner, and I'll tell you something else, Craig. I've had the snowflake.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the 205 model 9F Grand Seiko.
Well, no, the 205. No, it's still a spring drive.
The 205 was a quartz, unless we have the numbers.
Oh, wait. I thought you said you had the snowflake.
Yeah, I've had both before.
Okay, both. Okay.
I've had the snowflake, and then I sold that, and then I ended up, you know, with the 9F quartz, and now I'm thinking about selling because I'm a guy that likes to wear things instead of just keeping in a box. So I don't like to have a bunch of watches either myself. So
I think that's a good idea. I think consolidating down to a couple of good watches to wear that get the job done for you. I shot a video of receiving a watch. Good thing I did. It was fake, Jack says. Cannot hear you. Well, let me know in the chat if you guys can hear us. I can hear him. You should be able to hear him. I can hear him. If I can hear him, you should be able to hear him. But anyway, let us know in the chat how it's sounding.
Like
Watchfinder.
when you do.
Yeah, you are a
When
little
you
bit lower than me, but they still should be able to hear you. Watchfinder featured the 9F movement in a recent video where they talked about the technology. 9F, what an amazing movement. Yeah, it is pretty freaking amazing. There are loads. There are loads with watches. Not sure what that means. Guess who doesn't have a channel? His initials are TGV. Who's TGV?
Urban Gentry, I think he lost his channel because he was using other people's pictures.
Did they
Like
take? I thought he got it back. Did they take it
I
down
don't.
permanently?
I haven't checked. I mean,
Oh,
I've
okay.
visited his channel, saw some old.
Yeah, you got to
But,
watch the copyright stuff, folks. You got to
yeah,
watch
yeah.
that. And I'll tell you, they're also starting to crack down on the nasty stuff too. So they're starting to crack down on that too. So hopefully they'll get rid of some of these nasty trolls. So there you go. Some said there are over 300 watch YouTube channels. Oh, I'm sure there's got to be. I guarantee you there's a bunch of them. And I'm sure they're all better than this one. So trolls, go on over there and find them. go over there and hang out. They don't go to another channel because they see you react when they make a negative. When you comment about what they said, you feed the troll and he lives. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We're just going to keep blocking them. They keep creating new nom de plumes, and we'll just block that one. I'm surprised that Google lets them so easily create new accounts. I would think they could shut down on that. You know, for example, you know, some of these services require you to have a cell phone number, and they text something to you, right? I mean, I would think you'd run out of numbers to use, but I guess they can scam that too. But I would think they could get a handle on that if they really wanted to. But we'll just keep playing whack-a-mole with them, and we got the wrench gang's in the house. Let's see. I don't know what happened to Urban Gentry. His videos still play. Well, there you go. So maybe he's not killed. Craig, ever grow a beard? I get it gets scratchy. My skin doesn't feel good if I try to grow something like that. I had a mustache at one point, and it didn't look that great. So no, I gave up on that, Johnny.
You got to keep it trim. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Some people can grow it. I guess maybe, is it the first few days that you get that it gets kind of itchy or something, and then after that it gets better? Is that how that works? And you're kind of
a couple days it itches, then.
Yeah, you are breaking up a little bit. I think it's your connection a little bit, Blue. Do you go by Blue, or what is do you have a real name?
Yeah, Will. I'm
Will.
sorry.
Okay.
I use Blue. Yeah.
Okay. Life is full of trade-offs. It's a matter of which trade-offs are willing to make. Who is the guest who is actually undercover IRS agent? I don't think he's an undercover IRS agent.
Must be in regards to the import tax comment from last video.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
The dial is 32 millimeter wide, and the thickness is just under 12 millimeters. Okay, good. Let me write that down. Now, this is on the 39, right? Yeah, I think it is. So, 32 mil.
Just a side question about Bitcoin. I had an interest in purchasing at least one to try.
Yes.
You have to send a copy of your ID over through, what was that,
Coinbase? Are you talking about Coinbase?
Coinbase.
Yes. In the U.S., they have a know your customer laws. And the reason for that is if you sell it, the IRS wants to take their cut. It's a capital gain like anything else. If you bought it for $3,800 and 2 months from now you sell it for 10 grand, they want their cut of those profits. Now, if you don't sell it, if you just buy it and hold it, you're not going to have any tax liability. You will have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. But yeah, I was considering at least buying one because I saw it go up to it was 17,000 or something about a year or two ago.
Yeah, it hit a high at the end of November. Well, no, I'm in December of I think 2017. It's had several big run-ups, and then it goes down, and then it runs up again. And so the big question is, when will the next run-up be, and how high will it go? And the other question is, how low will it go before that run-up? Nobody knows the answers to that.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe it goes down to $2,000 or 2,500. That would be then you have to buy.
Exactly, exactly. I would love for it to take another nice dip down, but I don't know if it's going to. Fortunately, I've got a pretty good stash right now, so even if it doesn't, I'm in pretty good shape. Let's see here. I wish the 9F movement had an independently adjustable hour hand. Otherwise, you lose. Okay, so you can do that on some of the GMTs. I believe you can do that. You can adjust the hour hand.
That was an interesting thought. So they actually made the GMT specifically to kind of like the Rolex. You could jump the hour.
Yes, I believe you can. Now, don't quote me on that, but I pretty much think that's the case. I haven't tested it myself, but I think that's the case. Block everyone all the time. This way there will be no trolls. Well, there you go. That's an idea. I have a list of over 350 watch channels. Okay, let's publish that and send that over to the trolls. Craig, can you recommend any brands who made full canvas sport coats? Rob, you're talking about like the lapels where they have the canvas to keep the shape and all that, and they use canvas in different parts of the jacket. I'm not an expert on that. I know that some of the Oxford suits are very well made, and sport coats are very well made. OXXFORD, they're made in the U.S. They still do a pretty good job. They're still making them here, but I don't know if they're as good as the older ones. A lot of these things have kind of like the quality has gone downhill a little bit with a lot of these manufacturers. So you really need to research that. That's a rabbit hole that you can definitely go down. But I have found that some of the vintage stuff is better made than some of the newer stuff. Just saying. So just kind of take that for what it's worth. Growing a beard saves time. No need to shave all the time. Well, there you go. Also saves money on shaving gear. There you go. Grow a pencil mustache like AGV. What do you think of the Tudor North Flag as an Explorer 1 alternative? I wouldn't buy a Tudor personally. There were a lot of other watches I'd buy before I would buy a Tudor. But, you know, I know a lot of people like them. I think if you like the brand, you should go for it in regards to Tudor. North Flag is a great, easy-to-read watch. IRS are a bunch of armed robbers. The government is an organized crime gang. What is your tax liability if Bitcoin goes up and you use it to purchase goods? For example, to buy it for $3K and it shoots to $30K and you buy a day date with it. You should pay, you know, you still have to pay the gain legally. How are they going to, they don't really have the infrastructure to run that down depending on who you buy it from. If you just buy it from an individual, that individual isn't going to report it, right? So, you know, I'm not going to give financial advice. I'm certainly not going to tell you to dodge taxes, but do what you got to do. It's a good problem to have big gains. That's a good problem. I'll tell you what, if you don't want to pay the tax on the gain, if you just give me the gain, I'll go ahead and pay the tax on it. That's what my accountant used to always say when I would complain about the gains, the taxes. Riddle this. Why will people buy high-end car and drive it every day, but then buy high-end watch and be nervous to wear it? I don't know. I don't get it.
That's a good.
These watches are called wristwatches. They're supposed to be on your wrist. So I don't get it.
They're not investing.
No, they're not investments. Heck no, they're not. Just for clarification purposes, there's no such thing as an Explorer 1, just Explorer. That's correct? It's just called the Explorer, right? I think so. I think
yeah,
that's
Explorer.
Explorer
There's
and then
Explorer
Explorer 2. Yeah, I think that's how they do it.
First one is one because there's a two.
It's not the government business what you do with your money. Well, here's the thing, Adaptive Cowman or whatever your handle is. That's why we want Bitcoin to succeed. That's why we want Bitcoin to become an international world currency, which no government controls, no entity controls. It's totally independent. And that's what we need. You know, it's been a fairly recent development that money has been part of the state, that money has been controlled by the state. That's not normal throughout the history of the world. So we can go back to a situation where the money is separate from the state. It doesn't need to be controlled by the state. And that's what Bitcoin, that's the opportunity that Bitcoin gives us, is to have something that is not controlled and manipulated and so forth by the state and by its appointees. Let's see. We'll say the North Flag and Explorer 39 are very different pieces. Explorer looks more luxury. North Flag, a real tool watch. People only call it Explorer 1 to differentiate it. There you go. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks, folks. What do you think? Should we do a deal here? Should I liquidate the gold stunner and let our say again?
Put your vote.
Yeah, put your votes in the chat. Put your votes in the chat. And let us know. Should we do a deal here? That's what we're trying to figure out. Should we do a deal? This guy seems like a good guy. He's a subscriber. How long have you been subscribing?
I've been watching for about 5 months now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, Craig. I won't sell it to anybody else, except I'll give you the first option to buy it back if I ever want to sell it.
First right of refusal, they call that.
That's right. I'll give you the first right of refusal. And it would be the same price you sell it to me for. How about
Well, there you go. Okay, our WAG says yes, yes, yes. I think you two are in cahoots. I think you two are, but we're going to discount that one because you all are in cahoots. But Mike says sell it, and Jimmy says sell it. Sean says no, keep the GS. He is IRS, don't sell. It doesn't matter. I'm not, this isn't a gain that I have to worry about. Let's see. This is Blue Shirt Buddha.
This is just blue. I think he's got me confused with the other.
Okay, gotcha. Lawrence says I would sell. That's correct with my 9F GMT green dial gold GMT hand. So you're saying, Mark, that you can adjust that hour hand independently. And you can also change the date that way, just like a Rolex, correct? Just please confirm that in the chat there. And James says sell it. If you want to sell, sure. Turkey says keep the GS. I think sell is outnumbering keep it. Here's the thing. This gentleman is a good subscriber for many months, and he wants the watch, and it will probably fit him a little better than me because you have a 7-inch wrist, right?
Yep, 7-inch wrist.
So one of the issues I had is the clasp wasn't centered under my wrist because my wrist was a little bit too big. And so I think the clasp is going to be more centered for you. I think it's actually going to fit you better.
I think so. It'll probably fit better than the Omega, too.
At some point, I was going to go over to Little Treasury Jewelers and have him put another strap on it so I could get the thing centered. Because, if he gets the right size, he can still use the 18 karat gold clasp, GS clasp, right? Mm-hmm. And it just has to be the right length. The leather on both sides has to be the right length in order for it to be centered when it's in the correct hole to be fitting on your wrist, right? You see what I'm saying? And with me, since my wrist is a little bit bigger, my wrist is between a 7 1/4 and a 7 1/2, depending on the time of the year, right? If it's a real cold, low humidity, it'll be 7 1/4. If it's a real hot, humid day, it'll be upwards to 7.5. So that's the size range of my wrist. And so that's the issue. And then the other thing is, here's the other thing. I'm coming into the warm weather now, and I wouldn't be wearing it as much anyway in the warm weather.
True. I work in an office, so I would wear it at work.
Yeah, so you're in air conditioning in the office.
I wear a shirt, and it would look real good there. And the thing, what I wanted to tell you was, if you like a good watch strap, there's one that I bought called Record in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that brand?
I have heard of them.
Yeah, that's what I have now. It's very, very comfortable to wear. I've put it on a couple of my watches. Might be something you want to look into.
Yeah, you just have to get the right size. Let's see, your new watch hunt and eventual purchase would be good for several shows. Well, there you go, RWAG says. So we're going to generate content. I looked into buying the current version of your gold Grand Seiko, but was told that Japan won't allow it to be exported. Yeah, there is a new model that has GS at the top, not Seiko at the top. So, yeah, but they're very hard to get. They're around $7,000 or $8,000, and they're very hard to find. It's the exact same watch, but just with a new dial. Somebody says, sell the gold stunner. You need an 118238 in the house. What are you going to replace it with? Turkey Vulture says. Craig and Blue, what are your Grail watches? We're trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure out what the perfect watch is, and nobody's been able to find it yet. I don't think it exists. Why won't these manufacturers make the perfect watch? Why? I can tell them exactly what we need, but they won't make it.
The only thing with yours, the gold stunner, is the lack of water resistance. But
I'll tell you what I would like. I'll tell you, here would be the perfect watch for me, personally, okay? Make the gold stunner and 38 millimeter size with an all gold bracelet.
Excellent.
With a screw down crown, and have it be 10 millimeters thick, the same thickness as it is now, but have it be a spring drive.
That would be excellent.
Okay? They won't make it. They can't make it. They can't make a spring drive that thin. So, you know, the Grail watch that I want is not feasible. But I'm not being that demanding, right? What's so unreasonable about that? What I just asked for.
That's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, that would be beautiful watch. And maybe Grand Seiko will take a look at this live stream after it's been posted.
No, they never will. They don't care. They're clueless when it comes to marketing and branding and designing the watch. They get one right and 10 wrong. I mean, their batting average is not very good.
No, they need to have names
they have some stunning watches, but they have some that are just ugly. I mean, what are they thinking? And a lot of them are too thick. A lot of their watches are too thick, and I've told Steve this. Of course, I'm not a big watch fan. I'm not a big, thick, bulky watch fan. So I guess some people like that stuff.
There's a new one that they put out that I saw, and it looked horrible to me. The dial looked, they had a power reserve on it at 9 o'clock, and I don't know if you've seen those, but they're brand new. Have you seen those, Craig?
Which one?
There's some brand new ones. Grand Seiko release. If you look on their Facebook page,
I saw them.
I don't like those.
I don't like the case designs. The cases are kind of chunky looking. They kind of got a little bit of that maxi case look. They don't have the flowing case like the Snowflake has a nice flowing case. The stunner that I have has a nice flowing case, nice curves. Those other ones, no, not so much. Here's a adaptive comment says, if you sell it, what watches will we look at the live stream? You already sold the
Yeah.
Snowflake. Well, you got to get a better camera so that you can come in and show the Stunner with a better
I
camera.
will.
Yeah.
I have to do that. I'm using the phone now,
Yeah.
but my laptop, I have never done a live stream, so I'm lucky I was able to even come on today. That was good at least.
Yeah.
But
So you got to
we'll get a
figure
good.
out a decent camera for your laptop, and then that way you can show it. Buy more
For sure.
BTC. There you go. Buy more Bitcoin. Absolutely. The ceramic GMTs are close to perfection, Turkey Vulture says. You're right, Turkey Vulture. They are close. If they were a little bit thinner, I don't know if you're talking about the spring drive model, but yeah, if it was a little bit thinner, then if they could get it down to like 12 mils thick, that would be getting pretty close. You're right. Perfect watch is the Rolex Yachtmaster in yellow gold. The Yachtmaster's a little bit clunky, a little bit thick, and a little bit clunky.
It's a little thick, and I don't care for the design as much. You know,
Yeah.
they had that maxi case and they designed
I'd
it.
rather have the Date 8 myself.
Yeah, much.
Somebody, David SW has a beautiful Date 8 with black dial for sale for you, Craig. Well, there you go. No room for the crystal. Maybe a reason. I have a 55 millimeter diesel chrono that wears really small for its size. Craig hates maxi cases. I'm not a fan of the maxi cases. They're chunky looking. I mean, they don't have the nice flow of the older Oyster cases. I mean, Rolex got it right when they designed the Oyster case. There's no reason for them to have gone and done that and messed it up.
They kept it the same for so long. I don't know why they changed it. You know.
I don't know either. That was the stupidest thing. Craig, you just designed a Seiko home run watch. If they would ever follow through with your design, our WAG says, there you go. Craig, can I get 1 Bitcoin for the Stunner?
That should tempt.
Yeah, if you had Bitcoin, I would take Bitcoin. Absolutely, I would accept Bitcoin, but you don't have it. So we can't do that deal. Where's the Clivers? I sent him a link. He was a little bit under the weather, but I sent him a link in case he wanted to come in. My gold Yachtmaster is my beater watch, James says. Well, there you go. Why would you call the gold Stunner a blue? Would you call the gold Stunner a blue chip investment? No, not really. It's just a good watch and it's a good value. Oyster case is the most gorgeous case in horology. There you go. And you know, if you look at the older Submariners, like the red sub that I had back in the day and I sold to my friend, he still has it. It had a beautiful case. Either way, if you looked at the crown side or the other side, it had just that nice curved flowing case. It just really had a great look to it. And then over the years, they've kind of made it more and more chunky. And now with the maxi case, it's just totally slab-sided. Just, I don't know what they were trying to do. I guess people like that stuff. Let's see. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon here. Just went to my Rolex AD in Rochester, New York. 0 stainless professional models. 1 all-gold GMT. 1 two-tone Yachtmaster. 41 millimeter day chest. And a couple of ladies' models. I've never seen the display case so bare. Oh, well. Rolex probably made the maxi case to compete with the oversized Panerais that were in a bubble at the time. I'm Satoshi, and I have 1 million Bitcoins, but Craig doesn't believe me. There you go. If you've got 1 million Bitcoins and you're hanging out in this chat, I would suggest you get professional help. Because I could think of a lot of places I'd be if I had 1 million Bitcoin, and it ain't here. Yes, a gold Yachtmaster or a gold day date is a great weekend beater. I love to wear it while I bark orders at my butler and the help. There you go. Those curves. Yeah, curves, there's a lot to be said about curves. I don't think they even sand the maxi cases after stamping. Clive looked like hell the other day. Hope he's feeling better. Yeah, I agree. I hope he does get better. You got to drink some juice. You can get dehydrated in the wintertime, and it's not. He had a migraine headache and stuff. He might be dehydrated. The maxi case is comfortable though. Oh, okay. This one, my titanium diver is super comfortable because the way everything's rounded, all the edges are very rounded, so it's very, very
Nice
comfortable.
and light.
Oh my gosh, it's
I
so.
like the light.
It's. Have you tried one on? Have you tried one?
Well, I've had not the diver, but the snowflake was so light
Yeah,
and it was so comfortable. I had the snowflake before,
yeah.
and I kind of like that. I like the light, and I don't like a chunky watch because it's too heavy. You're not comfortable wearing it. It's
And the
just kinda
finishing
annoying.
on the case made it more comfortable too. The way everything's rounded,
Yeah.
everything's finished off nice. Craig, I think you might enjoy the Rolex Explorer. Nice size and very legible dial. There you go, Turkey Vulture says. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here. So why don't we do this? Okay.
Well, I enjoyed coming on. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
Enjoyed the invite.
all right. So let's talk turkey here. You want to you want to do the deal, and everybody says we should do the deal. I enjoy the book. Okay, we already read that. So, did you already put a friend request in on Facebook to me?
Oh, I haven't got on there yet. I was just
Yeah, go ahead and put a
I'll
friend request in to me, and then I'm going to message over my phone number, and you can give me a call, and we can talk about the details of
Okay.
what we're going to do, and we'll see what happens. Let's see, Blue, Will, and Craig, great show. No vulgar language and very informative and entertainment. Thank you. Uh-oh, somebody comes in, don't sell the Gold Stunner. What do you think of the SBGA 301 instead of the Explorer? Let me pull it up here. Pull up that watch.
301 spring drive.
I think that's the base model. I think that's what that is.
Great looking watch.
I see one for as low as $27.50 on Govberg. That's Tim's operation. I see one on Chrono 24 for $3,400. That's brand new. I think that's the entry-level spring drive. And I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about that watch. It's not as high end. The bracelet and stuff is not as fancy as it's more like an oyster bracelet versus like the Jubilee type of thing. I think it's a nice watch. I've heard good things about it, and it's a little bit smaller than the Snowflake. Yeah, it's 40.5 mils, and the Snowflake is 41, so just a little bit smaller. It's still 12.9 mils thick, so it's very similar on the thickness, if these numbers are correct. I would talk to Steve if you're interested in that watch. I think he could give you a deal on it. I'd talk to Steve at Little Treasury. That's a good-looking watch. That one looks like it has lume. Also, that's interesting. It looks like it has lume. I hadn't noticed that before. That is interesting. Yeah, I would give that the thumbs up. Let's see what else we got here.
Good value. It is. It's good value.
If you give him your phone, he will find your location. Well, there you go. But this is a secure location, so there's that. The watches you want in Rolex AD stores are in the back of the store 9 out of 10 times after talking the talk. Wearing a nice watch and proving you will purchase. Voila. Then one was set aside. They're talking about the Rolexes. Yeah, exactly. Very nice show. Okay, 40 mils. Kind of plain looking and not a fan of the lume. Yeah, that's a base model watch, but I mean, I think it's a good watch for the price range, and if you can get a deal on it, I think it'd be a very solid watch, but it is a base model, watch. So, all right, well, we are going to wrap this puppy up. Let me get my phone here so I can stop the broadcast. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Let's see here. Oh, you see, stop. Complete event.